been another nonstop day of news, a mass change in direction for so much of the federal government with Trump now in the Oval Office. Immigration raids, infighting among his tech titans. A lot we're going to be getting into in just a few minutes, but we've got to start with this absolutely monster inferno that you can see burning just 45 miles north of us here in Los Angeles. Now, this is a new fire that is forcing the evacuations for more than 19,000 people so far, and it seems to be just exploding in size, doubling by the hour. Now, there are homes, there are schools, businesses in the Castaic community being threatened right now, and the major interstate here, it is now shut down. This fire is 0% contained, but there are helicopters, air tankers, and the National Guard that have been called in. They're working that fire, and all of this happening during a red flag warning in what has now been weeks of extremely terrifying fire conditions. Winds could hit around 70 miles an hour tonight, and fire crews are still working around the clock to try to keep the Palisades and the Eaton fire lines contained as well. NBC's Liz Kreutz joins us now from Castaic, California. Liz, so what's the situation like where you're at right now?
Hey, Gadi, I mean, you're right to call it a monster fire because just in the past few hours, this has exploded in size. It went from 500 acres to now more than 8,000 acres. And I want to show you behind me, you can see some of the flames that are burning here on the ridge and the hill. This is definitely a more rural fire than we've seen from the Palisades and the Eaton fires, but it is still very much threatening communities and neighborhoods. The town of Castaic, which is to my left here. I know, actually, let me show you. This is good news. They've been able to do these water drops. We've seen this repeatedly now, these choppers going behind the ridge to the lagoon nearby, filling up, and then you can watch as they go and drop water on these flames. They've also been able to drop fire retardant, and so they've been making an aggressive firefight here to be able to get a handle on this fire to prevent it from going into the town. But 19,000 people are evacuated right now. We talked to some of the folks in those neighborhoods. Some of them got out. Some of them decided to stay back. They were there, as we often see, watering and hosing down their homes and properties, saying that they were going to stay there to do everything they could to save their home. I will say, though, Gadi, right now it does feel some good news because just a couple hours ago we were seeing 20-foot flames right near us. Now it does feel like they're getting a handle on it. But again, the winds could pick up, and we don't know as the night continues.
Yeah, and I mean, they're talking about these strong winds all night, right? Could the fire get a lot worse as the night continues?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can sense it now, but we feel these strong winds, and that is the concern, is that we're going to see these spot fires grow, where the embers could spread. I mean, that's what some of the people were saying as they were hosing down their homes, is that they're not really concerned that the fire itself, the main, start of the fire was going to come to them. They're most concerned about embers blowing and igniting a spot fire in a neighborhood. So that's a big concern. But that is why we're seeing such an aggressive attack here. Bulldozers we're seeing go through the flames on the ground from the air. And as you know, Gadi, the biggest thing that was so hindering 2 weeks ago to the Palisades and Eaton fires is that those initial hours, they were not able to fight it from the air because the winds were so strong then. Thankfully, they are able to do that now, which I think is making a really big difference. We've just seen it, the difference it's made in the past few hours.
And talking about what's downwind from that fire, what's currently being threatened, are there any communities? I know Castaic, it seemed to have enveloped Castaic Lake, and there's a lot of recreational sites around there, but are there any communities that look like they are imminently being threatened as if the winds continue as they are?
Here's another chopper right here. You can just see how quickly. I mean, this is like they're going and dropping and fueling and, and coming back. I mean, this is happening repeatedly right now. But to answer your question, Gadi, imminent, I think that's relative. I think that it does feel like we're not seeing flames engulfing neighborhoods. We're not seeing flames on the cusp of a populated neighborhood. But certainly there is that concern. And we've seen the dramatic video of schools being evacuated and students running out of their campus with the hazy smoke all enveloping the school. Jails have been evacuated. So all of that's still a concern as we head into the night as they continue this fight, Gadi.
I got to say, hearing those choppers above, though, that's got to be music to the ears of those on the fire lines, and some incredible drops by those hero pilots. Liz Kreutz, thank you, and stay safe out there. Meanwhile, back to the absolutely seismic shift that's happening right now in Washington with the new Trump administration. There is movement on all fronts. There are firings, reshufflings, and movement on a lot of the big campaign promises he made to his supporters. But in all that comes some chaos and at least a little bit of public infighting with his new circle of power. Yesterday, we saw, you remember, the poster boy for the future of AI, OpenAI's Sam Altman, front and center during a new $500 billion AI deal that Trump announced. Well, today, Trump's closest and biggest tech ally, Elon Musk, kind of trolling the whole thing, posting on X. They don't actually have the money. Altman firing back, posting wrong and saying, you want to come visit the first site? And here's the thing. Historically, this kind of airing of grievances happens maybe behind closed doors. And for a long time, people have been tempted to see all of this as like this instability, or at least a sign of instability in Trump's orbit. But you got to remember, as high stakes as all of this is now, the whole role of being center stage as decider, as deal maker in chief, that is very familiar to those who watched The Apprentice way back in the day. Take a look.
I have no respect for
Do you
this
think I'm
member who's
unintelligent?
Yeah, I think you're unintelligent.
Okay, I don't think he's unintelligent, but maybe lacks common sense.
Summer, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you contribute to this team? You didn't make the calls, and you were up in a blimp.
You did a lousy job.
So sorry.
Here I am. I'm getting ready practically to fire this guy, and you keep interrupting me and stopping me from doing it. And in the end, what Carolyn said to you is true.
I want him to be
She
fired.
said, what have you done? And you couldn't answer it. You know what, Summer? You're fired.
Chaos or controlled chaos. You see, like President Abraham Lincoln, he had his team of rivals. Maybe this is the 21st century, I don't know, extremely online version of that. So let's bring in NBC's Brian Chung to help us break some of this down. Brian, there's a lot of irony here. Like, it could be a Greek saga. The smack talk happening on X, which is owned by Musk, the clapback that comes from Altman, who a lot of people forget co-founded OpenAI with Musk as well. Can you walk us through the history of their beef here?
Yeah, in ancient Greek saga, maybe if they were etching on stones and then throwing them at each other from across the town, because this is all happening in the town square. It's happening on X, by the way, Musk's platform, where these two massive giants in the technology space have been going at each other. You already kind of outlined it right there. Basically, Elon Musk trying to take issue and disputing the terms of that massive artificial intelligence announcement that was made in the Oval Office yesterday. Again, Trump's first day in office, where he was alongside Massasohn of SoftBank, Larry Ellison of Oracle, and, of course, Sam Altman at OpenAI, committing to this $500 billion joint venture that he says, or rather Trump hopes, will be the future of American artificial intelligence to take on the likes of China, which is rapidly developing its own AI technology as well. But I think what's really interesting here is that you have Musk, who has a kind of sort of adjacent government job at the Department of Government Efficiency, taking on someone who is partnering with Trump on the other side of Silicon Valley. And again, AI is such an important part of this administration when you consider that, again, there's significant posturing in the fact that the Trump administration chose to spend its first day working and making this big announcement. That really tells you about how heavy this administration is going on tech in this second go around, Gadi.
And meanwhile, it seems like the big question so many people have is like, oh, is President Trump going to be mad about this? Like, have we heard anything from the White House about Musk's claims, or even Oracle or SoftBank, who by proxy like took a haymaker as well, point blank here?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a joint venture. It's not just OpenAI, but we haven't heard from those companies, nor have we heard from the White House. And I do think what is significant here is that, you know, this is a joint venture among a number of companies, but the universe of other AI companies in this space is massive when you consider the likes of Microsoft, the likes of Amazon, the likes of Google and Alphabet, all of which, by the way, had representatives sitting at the inauguration just on Monday. So could they be perhaps, could their feathers be ruffled as well? That is an open question. But again, the palace intrigue with all of this, I do want to point out that Altman and Musk, they have a long-standing beef because Musk was one of the kind of original team members over at OpenAI. They had a falling out over how the company should have been structured. Elon Musk actually then sued Altman. That lawsuit is still going on. So I just want to point out that the kind of undercurrents between the two of them go way back before the AI investment yesterday.
Yeah, sure do. Brian Chung, thanks so much for being with us, Bill. And with us now is political digital reporter Derek Robertson, who, by the way, just wrote this piece, Why Trump's AI Plan Just Caused a Billionaire Slap Fight. Derek, thanks for being with us. I guess a slap fight is it is more dignified than a cage match, which we've also almost seen come to pass. But that aside, like, why do you think Elon Musk is so skeptical of Stargate here? Is it the beef, or does he have cause for concern?
I think it's a little bit of both. As with most things, when you have somebody whose material interest is so wrapped up in the political direction of this White House. I interviewed Ethan Mollick at the Wharton School at Penn, who studies AI today. And he pointed out to me that a lot of people in the AI community think that Musk's AI company, XAI, is scaling at a more effective rate than other AI companies, and that their Grok model is achieving a lot of really impressive benchmarks. So it's possible that he just sincerely thinks that OpenAI does not have the fundraising firepower or the computing firepower to achieve this really lofty goal that Trump set in the White House for Stargate yesterday.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are just laughing at Grok's name and not realizing how quickly those clusters are coming online. This isn't just AI, right? They're kind of touting this as the dawn of super intelligence. But Musk, obviously, he's got Grok. He's got his own AI aspirations. So do so many other companies that we just heard about from Brian Chung. And then there's China. Like, what is the AI arms race going to look like with this new project seeming to have the backing of Trump, or at least like a Trump announcement on his first day in office? What does the first 100 days of AI look like going forward here?
It's a great question. People within the AI community seem to be extremely bullish that it's only going to accelerate. Ethan Mollick, again, when I spoke with him today, he described it as, setting the flywheel, where our previous achievements in AI have become self-sustaining to the point where code begets more code and the systems just become more and more powerful, almost without too much human intervention. Right. When it comes to the first 100 days of Trump being in office, you had, Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, speaking very bullishly about the potential for achieving what people in the AI industry call AGI a couple of days ago. It's in the best interest, I think, for Trump and for these tech CEOs who have kind of lined up to create this vision of American dynamism under the second Trump White House to achieve big AI wins in the next 100 days. We don't know what that will look like. And also, you mentioned China. In terms of China's AI advancements, we don't necessarily know what that will look like either, because what they're doing is still quite opaque.
Yeah, it sure is. Hopefully humans will still be in the loop. 101 days down the road here. Everything is moving so very quickly. Derek Robertson, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Sure. Meanwhile, from AI to DEI, today Trump might have started the firing process for federal employees involved in government diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. And according to a new memo from the Office of Personnel Management, Trump ordered all federal employees who work in DEI roles to be placed on paid leave effective this afternoon. Now, in case you haven't been, paying attention to the culture wars lately, ever since President Biden enacted DEI initiatives on his first day in office, they've become this lightning rod for controversy. NBC senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez has more on this story.
From the government agencies that oversee air travel to public health to criminal justice, a new sweeping effort to dismantle federal programs focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Our country is going to be based on merit again. Can you believe it?
President Trump making good on a campaign promise, giving agencies just 60 days to get rid of all DEI positions. A new government memo directing federal agencies to place all DEI employees on paid leave by this evening.
Nice to see you.
It's the latest move in a sweeping effort to clean house, surpassing the typical turnover when a new president and a new party take power, aiming to remake the federal government in the image of President Trump's Make America Great Again movement. Just minutes into his new term, President Trump seemed to be warding off fears that a vast campaign of retribution was on the way.
Never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents.
But what followed in the first 48 hours of his presidency may tell a different story, using some of his first strokes of the pen from the Oval Office to make it easier to fire federal employees and to take aim at perceived enemies. Like Mark Milley, the former Joint Chiefs of Staff general who went through a major public falling out at the end of Trump's first term. Milley's portrait, less than a week old, was taken off the walls of the Pentagon in the hours after Trump's swearing in, following a preemptive pardon from President Biden. Just after midnight on Tuesday morning, President Trump saying his first day in office wasn't over yet, writing 1,000 presidential appointees left over from the Biden administration were on their way out, including celebrity chef and humanitarian Jose Andres, a Biden appointee on the Council of Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. President Trump using a tagline from his apprentice days, saying, "You're fired." The only problem, Andres replied, his term was up. He'd already resigned. But it's not just well-known names on the chopping block. The president firing the TSA administrator, one of his own appointees from the first Trump administration, and canning the leader of the Coast Guard for her apparent failure to address border security threats and an excessive focus on DEI initiatives. Still, the president appears to be focusing much of his efforts on the day-to-day workers in the Justice Department, moving to dismiss 4 top DOJ officials who oversee the country's immigration courts, one of them saying she was shocked and disappointed by the move. Nearly 24 other senior Justice Department staffers reassigned to other jobs. Other officials apparently seeing the writing on the wall. Top employees at the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Bureau of Prisons, and the FBI resigning or stepping back from their roles in the days after Trump took office. The president clearing a path for the most loyal of loyalists to take on big jobs, like Kash Patel, Trump's pick to lead the FBI, who's echoed false conspiracy theories around the 2020 election and promised to take on the so-called deep state, journalists as well as civil servants perceived as Trump's enemies.
All these people have clearances. They all still have clearances. Gone. I mean, the list will be massive.
Also, Ed Martin, a conservative activist and prominent member of the Stop the Steal movement, now in charge of the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C., which oversaw hundreds of cases related to the insurrection. While the start of every administration brings turnover, these actions by the president, just days into his latest term, appear on the verge of something unprecedented.
And let's bring in NBC's Gabe Gutierrez. Gabe, culture war aside for a moment here, what kind of impact is this going to have on everyday Americans who don't work for the government?
Oh, hi there, Gadi. Well, Trump's executive orders actually go a little bit further than the federal government. He's also directed his attorney general within the next 4 months to submit recommendations on how to enforce civil rights laws that, in Trump's view, may prevent DEI. So this has the potential to go far past the federal government, although right now it is unclear how many federal workers this will affect. Some of them may have job protections that make it difficult to fire them, Gadi.
And it's also a very weird time to be covering a lot of this stuff because online it's so hard to tell what is actually happening and what is just people posting rumors. Like just a little while ago I checked, there's all kinds of talk about JFK files that could be released to possible changes to income taxes. So let's just drill down on what we do know for sure. What is all this talk about a new external revenue service and how does it relate to tariffs and taxes?
Strange times indeed, Gadi. Well, with regards to the External Revenue Service, that is something that President Trump has brought up this week when he talks about tariffs. He says he wants an agency to be able to collect the money from these countries that he has threatened with tariffs. That includes China, Mexico, and Canada. We should be clear, he has not imposed those tariffs yet. His administration is simply studying them. But as an external revenue service, some experts have questioned whether it's more about branding than substance because we already have an agency that collects money from tariffs. That's called Customs and Border Protection, and it would take Congress to create an agency like that. But the president has brought it up repeatedly. Got it.
And we also saw this Trump post a little bit earlier that, like I got to say, when I started reading it, I'm not looking to hurt Russia. I love the Russian people. It sounded very nice to Russia, but then in the middle it takes a hard turn, threatening Putin with taxes, tariffs, sanctions today. What's going on there?
Well, It's likely a negotiating tactic, Gadi. President Trump has long said, it's long cozied up to Vladimir Putin in some ways. You remember back in 2018 at a news conference in Helsinki, he actually sided with Vladimir Putin over his intelligence agencies about Russia interfering in the 2016 election. So when it comes to that social media post, President Trump has said that it was his goal to get some sort of deal to end the war in Ukraine. And he began the post by complimenting the Russian people, but he's also realizing that at some point this deal needs to get done, and a lot of people are looking him to end this war like he promised, and so it could end up being a negotiating tactic. We'll just have to wait and see. Got it.
Yeah, a little bit of a charm jab and then a threat left hook there. Gabe Gutierrez, thanks so much. And meanwhile, on the immigration front, President Trump moving troops to the U.S.-Mexico border today, ordering 1,500 soldiers to take up border positions. And around the country, people are preparing for immigration raids and the threat of deportation. A lot of communities are bracing for the possibility of mass deportations. And today, Trump's border czar said the first operations will target those already being detained in sanctuary cities.
You know, for God's sakes, these sanctuary cities, let us into your jail. We're just trying to help public safety in your community. So sanctuary cities are going to get exactly what they don't want. More agents in the communities, more people arrested, more collaterals arrested. So that's a game they want to play. Game on.
And he's talking about places like Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Philly, Denver, D.C., and the president is effectively threatening those places with an ultimatum. If you try to stop them, they will cut off their federal funding. Meanwhile, we are starting to learn more about how those deportations could go down, and NBC's Julia Ainsley got a closer look.
Although it looks like any other commercial plane, migrants are only allowed to bring one bag of belongings, weighing 40 pounds or less. There are between 15 to 20 guards on board, and everyone is shackled, except for children and parents traveling with kids.
In the last year, ICE was able to remove over 270,000 migrants, many of those on planes just like this. But if the Trump administration wants to deport more migrants, they're going to have to spend more money, not just on planes like these, but on the pilots, the staff, and the detention space to hold migrants before they board these planes.
And our friend David Noriega joins us from Aurora, Colorado, one of those communities on edge. Trump's border czar says that they're already well underway with some of these deportations, right? So we're hearing some possible 300 arrests so far as of today. Do we know who's been arrested and where?
So, Gadi, what we know, the short of it, is that those arrests that have happened are pretty much routine arrests that ICE would be performing anyway, right? 300 arrests in a day is not actually unusual for ICE as it has functioned for many years now. Now, Aurora, where I am now in Colorado, in the Denver metro area, is one of those places, as you indicate, that where there's been some indication that the new administration is going to pursue some kind of large-scale immigration enforcement action. Trump, in fact, promised to name some quasi-military, quasi-immigration enforcement action Operation Aurora, based on where I'm standing now. Interestingly, Aurora itself is not a sanctuary city, but Denver is. And these are the cities that the administration has said it is going to target for immigration actions. Those have not yet materialized. Like I said, what we're seeing is routine ICE operations. We even heard of a group of migrants from Denver who were deported to Tijuana in the last day, but those we were able to confirm were people who had been detained here for some time. In other words, not detained under the Trump administration. So, as you heard from Julia just now, large-scale immigration raids, deportation operations, they take resources and time to plan and execute. That doesn't mean they're not going to happen. It just means that they aren't happening yet. In the meantime, though, they are succeeding at keeping communities on their toes. Gadi?
And Aurora, Aurora became this lightning rod because of what happened at an apartment complex with the Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua. And yet we did see a raid already on the people that were involved with that, right? Is that correct?
That's right, Gadi. There was a raid in December at one of the apartment buildings where there have been, fairly extensive reports of activity by criminal activity by Venezuelan migrants, some of whom are alleged to belong to the Tren de Aragua gang. Now, the presence of that gang here in Aurora is real. It has, on the one hand, been pretty significantly exaggerated, and on the other hand, sort of diminished. Even Venezuelan migrants, recent arrivals that I've been talking to here, have told me actually that the problem is serious and that they would like to see some kind of law enforcement action taken about it. Now, one of the things to look forward to pay attention to coming up is a city like Aurora, for example, which I mentioned is not a sanctuary city. It does not have these very direct, explicit prohibitions on local law enforcement to prevent it from cooperating with ICE. Have they been cooperating with them in these law enforcement actions to date? There are some reports that they have, or will they continue to do so in the future? Gadi?
Yeah, and what about down on the border? There are already parts that are already like very militarized, going back to the previous administration even. Is that going to become like supercharged here? What's going to be the new norm?
So Trump is sending more active duty troops to the border. There have been many National Guard and troop deployments to the border in the past. It's not unprecedented. He is indicating that he's going to do it at a larger scale. That's something we're going to have to see whether it actually materializes that way or not. We are almost certainly going to see some pretty dramatic changes on the border, because that's in some ways where it's easiest for the administration to enact dramatic changes. Whereas, compared to interior enforcement operations, which are in some ways more resource intensive and involve going into communities and things that present challenges for law enforcement. Again, though, it's going to take time to see exactly how these changes actually play out. It's not going to be this dramatic, paradigm shift on day 1 or 3, and we're just going to have to pay attention to how it actually looks on the ground moving forward. Gadi?
It's going to take time, and it's going to take probably a lot of congressional money, right? Like, how does this get funded?
Yeah, well, I mean, ICE itself, our colleague Julia Ainsley has reported, is facing a budget shortfall of more than $200 million. The agency and, federal law enforcement in the United States in general is constrained by the resources that it has and doesn't have. ICE needs more resources. The Border Patrol needs more resources. All of their contractors and the entire immigration enforcement machinery needs more resources if it's going to kick into the kind of gear that Donald Trump and Tom Homan have promised in the past. They may get there, but it will be gradual.
Yeah, we'll see. David Noriega, thank you so much. And here are some of the other headlines we're watching tonight. A cast member of the reality TV show Mob Wives is safe after being reported missing. Natalie Donato lives in Florida but was found in Nevada, and her family tells NBC News she didn't get on a flight she was scheduled to be on and was off the grid for a few days. And just hours ago, our cameras caught the former leader of the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio, arriving in Florida. He was freed on Monday after everyone involved in J6 was pardoned by President Trump. Tarrio was serving 22 years in federal prison after being convicted of seditious conspiracy. And Trump's pick to run the transportation department is now in the hands of the full Senate. Sean Duffy is a former congressman. He's been hosting a show on Fox Business, and he's promised to stop airline DEI policies for pilots. And today, the Supreme Court heard arguments on a case about when police are allowed to use deadly force. Now, this dates back to 2016 when an unarmed black man was shot and killed during a traffic stop in Texas. The man's mother filed a lawsuit alleging the excessive force violated his civil rights. The suit has been dismissed by the lower courts. And Bills fans, they root for the home team, but this week they stepped up to support the team they just beat. Baltimore's Mark Andrews could not catch a pass, setting up Buffalo's win. Andrews has type 1 diabetes, and now a GoFundMe campaign was started by a Bills fan to raise money for type 1 diabetes charities in Andrews' name. So far, it's raised more than $84,000. And don't go anywhere. We are just getting started. Up next, you gotta see it to believe the snow scenes all across the South, even in Florida. But with it come dangerous conditions. We are in Atlanta with how millions are coping with that historic storm. And later this hour, controlling the codes. With a presidential transition comes the handoff of the nuclear football. But how does it all really work? We're going to talk to the person who wrote the book on it. Stay tuned. And today, some more phone calls that no parent ever wants to get. A 16-year-old high school student is dead tonight, and another student is in the hospital after police say a third student, a 17-year-old, shot them both. Now, that shooting happening in the school's cafeteria. The shooter is dead. Officers say he shot himself, and students and teachers are still in shock after that attack. Nashville police are now trying to piece together what happened, and NBC's Jesse Kirsch has more.
These were the chaotic moments deadly gunfire erupted inside Antioch High School, followed by the realization of what had happened. Police say just after 11 a.m., 17-year-old Solomon Henderson, armed with a pistol, opened fire inside his Nashville area school's cafeteria, killing 16-year-old Jocelyn Correa Escalante. Police say a bullet grazed another 17-year-old boy before the shooter killed himself.
We believe there's some materials out there, and if maybe they were seen, maybe and said something, maybe more could have been done.
Investigators do not yet know if this was a targeted attack, but say there is no ongoing threat to the community. Hours after the attack, students evacuated by the busload. This teen says the shooter was her classmate.
He was not a kid that you would think would do something like that. He stayed on task. He did his work. He was quiet.
One mother describing a call from her panicking son.
He said, "Mom, they're shooting." I said, "Where are you?" And he said, "I'm outside now. I'm running." I said, "Just run and hide. Stay low. I'm on my way."
They were later reunited. The son says he heard gunshots and screams.
We ran behind the garbage cans. We saw people getting shot on the ground, bleeding and stuff. It's really heartbreaking because it's like just seeing someone you know just die like in front of your face like that.
It breaks my heart that it's normal. It should not be normal.
Police also say a student who was not shot fell, injuring his face. Meanwhile, no motive has been announced. Back to you.
It should not be normal. Jesse, thank you. Meanwhile, a historic Arctic blast is stretching from the Gulf Coast through New England, and it is breaking so many records, and it's also taken a deadly turn. There are millions in for another freezing cold night. At least 4 people have died after this rare snowstorm dumped record totals from Texas through the Florida Panhandle, and tens of thousands are right now without power. According to the National Weather Service, so much snow fell in New Orleans, it's actually double the amount of snowfall Anchorage, Alaska. Alaska has gotten since December 1st. People definitely out taking advantage of this, especially Floridians. You got people jumping in the snow in bathing suits. And yes, there's even a commemorative T-shirt rolling out for surviving the 2025 blizzard. And while the snow has stopped, the risks have not. A building in Alabama that was already being demolished collapsed under the weight of the snow there. Roads everywhere are dangerously icy, causing semi-trucks to slide, cars to pile up, with temperatures possibly dipping up to 30 degrees below average today. And the message is very clear. Try to stay off the roads. And NBC's Priya Sridhar joins us now from Atlanta, where traffic is moving behind you, but moving pretty slowly. I know the snow is starting to melt, but is that going to cause a bunch of problems there?
That is the big concern, Gadi, that once the temperatures get below freezing tonight, all the snow that's been melting on the roadways could turn into another sheet of ice, which could create dangerous road conditions. And that's really why so many local officials here are urging folks to stay off the roads. One of the ones that I spoke to in DeKalb County actually declared a state of emergency today. She said that she had to deal with hundreds of abandoned cars in her county, and local officials have been telling me that they've received thousands of weather-related calls. You can see the video for yourself, just dozens of cars in the metro Atlanta area abandoned overnight. It was basically a game of bumper cars, if you will, because people were skidding. And simply put, Gadi, you know, this is a region that's not equipped to handle snow or ice. People are not accustomed to driving in these conditions. And to make matters worse, the cities that are dealing with these icy conditions don't have the equipment like snow plows to really deal with it. And that's why they were urging folks to stay off the roads today so that they could use trucks that had sand and gravel to try to create better driving conditions. And it does look like, as you mentioned, that people are heeding those warnings, and that's why you're seeing cars move slowly behind me. We had one interstate here in Atlanta that had basically bumper-to-bumper traffic for, get this, 12 hours. And it was scenes like that across the South, not just here in Atlanta, also in Texas, Florida, North and South Carolina. Gadi, the entire region has just been an absolute mess.
Yeah, so crazy to see those crashes happening in slow motion there. And you've got power outages, you've got closed roads, airports are a mess. How soon is it going to be before we see things getting back to normal?
Well, we're crossing our fingers that we're not going to see more precipitation because that's the only thing that could really make things worse. But you mentioned there are tens of thousands of people along the Gulf that don't have power right now. And local officials down there have told people, you know, New Orleans saw an historic amount, 10 plus inches of snow in parts of that city, that because their infrastructure is not accustomed to this, as I mentioned before, that it could potentially take several days for things to get back to normal. And you mentioned air traffic as well. Well, the Jacksonville and Houston airports were closed yesterday. They reopened this morning, but that really created a domino effect when it came to air travel, with airports till today still reporting a number of delays and cancellations. So we're hoping that things can start to get back on track tomorrow, Gadi.
Priya Sridhar, stay warm out there. Thank you so much. And here's some of the stories happening out west that we're following right now. Utah lawmakers are debating new bills related to gender identity. One bill protects teachers who don't use someone's preferred pronouns. Another prevents transgender people from using university housing that doesn't match their biological sex. This all follows President Trump's executive orders rolling back transgender protections. And singer Chris Brown is suing Warner Brothers Discovery for $500 million. He's claiming a docuseries falsely accuses him of sexual assault. The lawsuit says those claims have been discredited and that Brown has grown from past mistakes. Warner Brothers Discovery has yet to respond to that suit. And A$AP Rocky rejected a plea deal ahead of his trial. The rapper faces assault charges for a 2021 shooting of a fellow rapper and former friend. Rocky's lawyer claims the gun was a prop without real bullets. Jury selection continued today, focusing on people's views on cops and celebrities. And still ahead, AI causing some real-life drama out here in Hollywood since it was revealed that AI was used in Adrian Brody's new award-winning film, The Brutalist. That's coming up in tonight's Future of Everything, so stay tuned. Hey, welcome back. Now, here's something for a little light dinner conversation. When a new president is sworn in, they take control of the world's most powerful nuclear arsenal. And there's no official ceremony for it. There's no pomp, circumstance for that changeover. But there is a very carefully orchestrated process that happens behind the scenes, and an iconic briefcase that has followed every president since JFK. And why does all this matter? Well, we are going to get into it with the author of a book that has kept me up for so many nights now. But before we do, here's a little history of the president's football.
Rotate, launch key to set. 3, 2, 1.
The United States under nuclear attack.
Such a detonation could result in an estimated 1.5 million immediate fatalities.
Hypothetical scenarios.
All missiles enabled.
Have been simulated by scientists and Hollywood writers for decades.
When one side launches nuclear missiles, the other side detects them and fires back.
But how nuclear war would actually play out comes down to one person and one presidential satchel. Every commander-in-chief since the Cuban Missile Crisis has kept this leather-bound briefcase close by just in case.
We will not prematurely or unnecessarily risk the course of worldwide nuclear war, in which even the fruits of victory would be ashes in our mouth.
From Hyannisport to the heart of Moscow.
There must be friendship between our two countries.
The nuclear football represents the president's ultimate nuclear authority and is always nearby. Inside, there's no big red button. The football holds codes to verify the president's identity and a menu of preset military responses. In a nuclear attack, the president only has minutes to act. A decision that could trigger America's nuclear triad. ICBMs ready to be launched by ground, strategic bombers by air, and nuclear-powered submarines on standby across the globe.
And all it takes is one madman, and you're going to have a problem the likes of which the world has never seen.
And in 2025, that football remains a symbol of U.S. deterrence in a world where nuclear posturing is louder than ever.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has formally lowered the threshold for his country's use of nuclear weapons.
North Korea would, without hesitation, use all its attack capabilities. Use of nuclear weapons is not ruled out.
Whatever comes next, the president's options won't be far away. And tonight, I am honored to have Annie Jacobson with us, the author of Nuclear War, A Scenario, one of my favorite books, one of the most terrifying books I've ever read. Kept me up for probably a month straight. Annie, thank you so much for being with us. This book it's an existential book. And I don't want to ruin the plot, but things do not go well for Washington or Los Angeles or the United States as a whole. And yet so much of this is meticulously researched. And before we get into some of this, I do want to know your take on the state of the world right now. When you wrote this, I believe in 2017, 2018, 19, things were a little bit different. It seemed like we were on the brink. Are we closer to nuclear Armageddon? Are we further away? Oh, how do you see it?
I mean, I do think it's razor's edge peril time. With that said, take a little bit of a sort of sigh of relief with the new president in office. For me personally, that transition period, the past few months, the fall, where you had actions from Russia, from China, ICBMs, tests, it felt very shaky. It felt really sort of existentially threatening to somebody like me, and I think to a lot of people. So now feels a moment of pause, I think, while everybody repositions where they feel, and I'm talking about, foreign leaders, about the new president and his policies.
Now, I'm just like a lowly reporter here, but one of the things in your book that seemed to be the most alarming was the lack of communication. Sometimes phone calls weren't answered. Sometimes de-escalation methods weren't available. And yet, like, with this president, it does seem like he's constantly trying to make a deal. He is constantly open to dialogue with everyone from, North Korea to Russia. Do you think that kind of takes the temperature down a little bit for the foreseeable future?
By all means, I would say communication is the best possible way to go. And lack of communication breeds danger. I mean, it felt very odd that the former president, Biden, had not spoken to Putin in years during this sort of mounting crisis. And so seeing the new president tweeting out messages, at least it's messaging, at least from where I stand.
And one of the other most alarming things about this is like our track record in space of shooting things down, ICBMs. People just don't realize how susceptible we are to an attack. And I think we might have the direct quote here, but I want to say it was something along the lines of like 40% success rate in some of those ICBM tests, the scripted tests that we have taken. 40% success rate at stopping something that could end civilization. Like, have things gotten better, or is that still what we're working with?
That is, I mean, that does not change overnight. And I also, while I would give credit to the new president for communication, definitely does not get points for this misrepresentation, in my opinion, of the Iron Dome. Promising to Americans that we're going to have this sort of fantastical Iron Dome situation is not plausible. It's really kind of snake oil salesmanship at its best. People in the missile world know that an Iron Dome shoots down short-range missiles, rockets from terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah. We're not seeing a lot of rockets coming in from Mexico and Canada. As far as shooting down a long-range intercontinental ballistic missile, that cannot be done with an Iron Dome. And I think it's dangerous to give false hope of this idea. And also, the spending is so extraordinary, it just boggles the mind.
You're talking about that, and the thing that comes to mind is it wasn't a long range, but it was short range. It was that missile that Russia used against Ukraine, where it looked like this. It was a space missile. It came from space, and it just came down over Ukraine. And you look at that, and you're like, that's unstoppable. When you see something like that, what do you think?
So I'll share with you a very interesting bit of news that I learned about that is not in the book, because, of course, it happened since the book's publication. That short range, or rather intermediate range ballistic missile that came in, when I heard about that, I thought that is precisely the kind of miscalculation that could lead to a nuclear war. And I learned subsequently from the Assistant Secretary of State that Russia reached out to America 30 minutes before with an electronic messaging system that exists at the State Department called the NERC. And so this was kind of both hopeful and also terrifying, that you could have a situation that was seriously ominous. It was meant to warn the United States, but at the same time, there was a back door in play at the State Department to let those two organizations know that it did not have a nuclear warhead in it.
It sounds like what you're saying is it was almost like a phone call or a message that says, this looks like Armageddon, but it's not Armageddon.
That is exactly right.
Wow. Annie Jacobson, please come back. I mean, this book is so important, and we can have this conversation for as long as you want. We really hope you join us again. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. And still ahead, a much-anticipated court battle ends before it could even start. So why is Prince Harry settling with Rupert Murdoch's tabloids? We've got that ahead, so stay tuned. Hey there, welcome back. Let's take a quick look around the world. In Germany, a 2-year-old boy and another person were killed in a stabbing attack today. 3 other people were also hurt, including a 2-year-old girl. The suspect is from Afghanistan, was a former asylum seeker, and was supposed to be out of Germany. The country's chancellor is calling for an investigation into why the suspect hadn't left. And police in Turkey have arrested 11 people in connection with yesterday's deadly fire at that ski resort we told you about. The town's deputy mayor, the fire chief, and the owner of that hotel are among those arrested. Now, there are questions over the hotel's safety measures, and survivors say they didn't hear fire alarms. At least 79 people have died. More than 100,000 people are escaping Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, a rebel group there is advancing on the largest city, and some people have had to turn to boats to get away. Different groups have fought over the mineral-rich area for decades now. And after that plane crash that killed 179 people in South Korea last month, officials there are removing concrete barriers near runways where the plane crashed. Experts agreed that the barrier that you see here made the accident so much more catastrophic. The cause of the deadly crash is still being looked into. And tonight, Prince Harry is declaring a major legal victory after settling a lawsuit with Rupert Murdoch's tabloids. NBC's correspondent Megan Fitzgerald explains.
Tonight, Prince Harry settling his years-long legal battle with a British tabloid, winning a substantial payout and a rare apology. His lawyer calling it a monumental victory.
Today, the lies are laid bare. Today, the cover-ups are exposed. And today proves that no one stands above the law.
The settlement between the Duke of Sussex and Rupert Murdoch's News Group newspapers came hours before a highly anticipated trial was set to begin over whether NGN-owned tabloid The Sun used illegal tactics to score scoops about Harry's life. As part of the settlement, NGN offering Harry a full and unequivocal apology for the serious intrusion into his private life, including incidents of unlawful activities carried out by private investigators working for The Sun. NGN also apologizing to Harry for phone hacking and surveillance at a now shuttered tabloid and for intrusion into the private life of Princess Diana, his late mother. For Harry, the crusade against the tabloids has long been personal.
The goal is accountability. It's really that simple.
Harry's attorneys are now calling for a criminal investigation into NGN.
Welcome back. Here are some tech stories that we're following right now. Netflix is raising their subscription prices again. You see it right there. The 3 plans that you see will increase by 8 to 16%, and this comes after the streaming service started to offer live events last year, like the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight, the NFL on Christmas Day, the WWE Raw. The price hikes will hit starting on your next billing cycle. That's going to do it for us tonight. I'm Gadi Schwartz. We'll see you here tomorrow, but until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.